Next, it's the animated Disney classic, Cinderella. After that, discover the amazing world of animals on Super Sense, followed by the Nelson family in the adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. Tonight, on the Disney Channel. And now, our feature presentation. The following presentation is closed caption for the hearing impaired. Ideas for the present, dreams for the future. Your imagination holds the key. Walt Disney once said, the era we live in is a dream come true, but there are still plenty of avenues to explore. The Disney Channel invites you to join us now and imagine.
It can be brittle and strong, flexible and rigid, plain and fancy. Made up of some of the commonest materials, it can do the uncommonest things. What is glass, and why is it so eccentric? Well, to begin with, it's a liquid. This is the very first glass furnace, a flaming volcano. Over 40 million years ago, rock melted from the intense heat inside the core of the Earth. As a boiling liquid, it was forced to the Earth's surface, where it flowed down the sides of the crater. We call this molten rock lava. When it cooled, a shiny hard material called obsidian was formed. It was the first natural glass, courtesy of nature. In the last 4,000 years, people have learned to duplicate this natural process, to produce objects that have become the necessities and the luxuries of life.
It's a relatively easy material to work with. There's limits. There's almost no limit that you can take it to, but you are limited by your ability.
Michael Nareau and his wife Ann Corcoran have been blowing their own glass for about 10 years. While the designs change over the years, the basic process is exactly the same as used by the Romans and the Venetians 40 centuries ago.
I like the speed with which a piece can be made and the clarity that you can work with without seemingly much struggle at the point of making it.
Michael is making a goblet using a mixture of 3 ingredients you're probably already familiar with. Soda ash, which you can find in everyday laundry soap, lime from limestone, and sand, similar to the sand you'd find on any beach. The maestro, which Michael is called as the head glass blower, puts these ingredients into a very hot furnace, 2,000 degrees. Once the mixture is hot enough, he gathers the glass on his blowing iron and begins spinning and shaping it to the desired form.
When we gather, what we call gather, the first gather of glass, which is the first little volume of glass, that's carefully rolled out into a very even-shaped cylinder. We blow air in through the pipe and force air into that glass. And at that time, we stop, and then we add more glass, and then we may blow a little more, then we add decoration, and then we add more glass, and then we blow it up as big as we want it to be. The more we blow, the thinner it gets.
Although we call it glass blowing, the actual blowing of air into the pipe isn't the most critical part of the process.
When it's in its molten form and you're trying to shape it into glass, the most critical thing is to try and dance with the glass so that you lead the glass into the finished piece rather than try and force it.
To make colored glass, small amounts of metal oxides are added to clear glass formulas. And the possibilities? Well, see for yourself.
To get colors, we use gold to get reds. We use cobalts to get blues. We use manganese to get purple. If we wanted to get white that we use zinc. You see, all these are metal oxides, all different kinds of metal oxides can make any number of variation in colors.
The process may not be as simple as it looks, but the principle is. Of the 8 million tons of glass made in the United States every year, the key to the whole nature of glass is silica in the form of sand. Here's what happens when sand and heat come together. In sand, groups of atoms have a regular crystalline structure. When we add heat to sand, groups of sand atoms break apart, producing a molten liquid. As the liquid cools, the atoms can't return to their original crystalline structure. So the atoms now take on the random structure of what we call a rigid liquid. In other words, it behaves like a liquid, but looks solid. Today, glass is as adaptable as it is versatile. But until about 80 years ago, there were only 2 or 3 basic kinds of glass. Now there are thousands of types of glass, and they can be tailored to meet almost any demand. Of all the things that are made from this incredible substance, the most spectacular is in buildings. Glass is more than just windows. Sometimes it's part of a wall or a complete roof. Even the whole building. Half of all the elements on the Earth's surface are used to make different varieties of glass. It is this amazing characteristic that allows glass to be used for thousands of different items. And as we're about to see in this small paperweight that Anne is making, more magic occurs in the blowpipe special bubble that helps determine the final shape and form of glass.
Well, there's 2 ways to get bubbles, on purpose and then by accident. And the one I was doing, it had concentric rings of bubbles that were gotten by pressing onto the nail heads. And then the other kind, the big bubbles, I pressed in myself with an ice pick. And it has to be very exact, and you have to press just so deeply and just so fast so that you get the same shape bubble when you go back in and gather over it. But most of our pieces are opaque, so you can't see the walls of the glass, so you don't see the bubble growing. But you can have a feel for it, and you can tell how the outside of the glass reacts and how it moves, exactly what shape your bubble is on the inside.
Notice, as with the paperweight and the goblet, the hot glass is kept revolving through all the steps to keep it from sagging out of shape. A glass blower must be a scientist as well as an artist to be able to utilize the fluid, graceful motion of the glass under the pull of gravity. When the maestro's work is done, it is then taken to another oven where the temperature is gradually decreased until the glass is cool. Depending on the thickness of the glass, this can take several hours to several days.
The oven where we're putting the glass away is like a magical place for me. And at night, I carefully bring the glass down to cool it down, and I'm not able to touch it until the next morning when we come to work. So maybe I'll get up an extra hour early to go down and open up the oven and look at the jewels that we made the day before.
We are just beginning to understand the enormous applications of glass in our lives. In one form, it can be as fragile as an eggshell. In another, heavy as iron. But whatever form it takes, it's always a shining example of the beauty, power, and light that comes to us through a tiny bubble on the end of a blowpipe. So glass isn't just what bottles and beads are made of. Glass is also the stuff dreams are made of.
Oh, no! Oh, no, oh, no, oh, this is terrible. The king, what will he say? What will he do?
But perhaps if it would help.
No, nothing can help now. Nothing.
But you see, I have the other slipper.
After all, Prince Charming never would have found Cinderella without the magic of glass.
No matter how your heart is grieving, if you keep on believing, the dreams that you wish will come true.
discover the amazing world of the animal kingdom on Super Sense, followed by the Nelson family in the adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. After that, talk to one of your favorite Golden Girls when you have a conversation with Betty White. Tonight on the Disney Channel. The 50s were a time to remember, a time of prosperity, of family importance, and the birth of rock and roll. The Sunday Night Showcase takes you back in time to experience the music craze that took the country by storm. The frenzy.
Rock and roll is cool, Daddy, and you know it.
The controversy.
Rock and roll has got to go.
And the legends that changed the sound of popular music forever. Rock and roll, the early days, Sunday. On the next Swiss Family Robinson, Jeremiah uncovers a map to a land of treasure.
That's the bad land. A man could get lost in there. I'm leaving here a poor man, but I'm coming back rich. We could be killed. It's the gold, Carl! It's the gold!
I want you all to take cover fast.
Jeremiah!
On the next Swiss Family Robinson, Disney Nighttime presents the story of Annette Kellerman, who overcame a childhood handicap
I'll make it.
to become a swimming superstar that thrilled a nation.
Here she is, introducing Australia's Annette Kellerman.
More daring than Houdini,
Get her out of there!
more spectacular than the greatest show on earth. Victor Mature and Esther Williams as the $1 Million Mermaid, all on the Disney Channel.
I felt I was very lucky to spend my youth in the 60s. There was optimism, there was hope. Everything and anything was possible.
The Dave Clark Five led the British music invasion. And now Dave Clark hosts the Disney Channel salute to that rock and roll music that defined a generation.
You know you make me want to shout. Give it!
For the first time on American television, the Disney Channel presents the legendary British rock television series, Ready, Steady, Go, in a 60s musical celebration.
Through Ready, Steady, Go on the Disney Channel, what you're going to see is what the 60s were like. It's not just a music show, it depicts fashion, it depicts all the excitement that was happening. Every major star launched their careers on Ready, Steady, Go. We have a Motown show with Stevie Wonder at 15. We have an Otis Redding show, which is live with his band, which I think is absolutely superb. And then you've got people like the Rolling Stones. Of course, the Beatles doing all their hits. And we've got Peter Cook and Dudley Moore. I mean, the great Dudley Moore actually singing Goodbye, which was a big hit in England. The thing about the 60s in England, it wasn't. You said what you felt like saying, and that's why a lot of people thought, well, it was quite witty and off the wall. But it was just pure honesty.
Please ask Paul if he plucks his well-shaped eyebrows. I think he...
No. We all came from working class areas, and all of a sudden this magical experience happened. You know, it's like the song in Disney, you know, if you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Well, I wished upon that star, and I was very, very lucky, and my dreams came true.
Return to the rock and roll, rhythm and blues age of expression. Take a rare look back at a series that showed the styles and spirit of the 60s like no other. Premiering in December, it's Ready, Steady, Go, the 60s musical celebration.
Thank you very much, and God bless you. You've got a lucky face. The end.
Even before it hatches, a bird shows the first stirrings of perception.